I don't know, why is it that people are so unwilling to express how they feel? Because you don't have that around here going on.
Well, people don't like to rock the boat. People are fearful of speaking their minds. People are fearful of going up against the status quo. Our government, along with our schools and our churches and our mass media, have decided that they will be the ones who project what people think. So when you have all these forces projecting what a person should think, it can be very difficult with a weak or split mind to make rational decisions when all these projections are being foisted on a person. And especially with television, which is very powerful and very pervasive and can be used for sinister purposes. These are the things that keep people weakened, and it keeps them in a state of perpetual dream. People live in illusion when they believe their government and their schools and their churches and the TV news blindly.
Do you believe that the hip-hop industry and imagery has political connections?
Hip-hop as an art form is beautiful. Can be used for good or for bad. Now, we've seen in pop culture that it has been used to program our youth to be hypersexualized, to crave materialism, to objectify and degrade women. So, again, that is what the mass media has done. But there are many rappers, such as Paris, who are speaking the truth to educate people. But these are not the artists that you'll hear on Hot 107.9 on an afternoon.
Run our third clip, please, and we're going to come back here and let me know how much time we have left also. Then we'll come back here and finish up the show here. Run the clip, please.
I like to say a lot of the political rhetoric that you heard the pastor talking about when he gave a sequence of things that he felt were issues for America to discuss. The prisons that America is building is filled up with black people and Latinos, okay, and we're only about 16% of the population. When he talks about the AIDS virus, when he talks about slavery, Jim Crow, he's letting you know as a Christian minister, okay, even in the context of Christianity, God has limits to people's aggression and disobedience to what's righteous and what's just. So he is saying that America has accumulated enough unrighteousness, if you will, for lack of a better word, enough unrighteousness for God to have a point where he says God may be in the mindset of damning America. There was a time in the Bible, I watch Hannity and Combs, I watch the O'Reilly Factor, I listen to Rush Limbaugh, Roll, Glenn Beck, I listen to all of the right-wing radicals. But nobody wants to talk about God having a limit where he cuts people off and then it's time for Judgment Day. We like to talk about love. God's forgiving, God's love. But let's talk about the aspects where God fed the whole planet for people being disobedient. Let's talk about when he joined Pharaoh's army for slavery. So I think that's the context where people say, why is he saying these political things from the pulpit? But God deals with society. You know what I'm saying? You can't separate those. I know we say it's separation of church and state, but if you're saying God is the God of everything and everybody, you're going to have to talk about the society in which you live. And I think Pastor Wright was speaking in that context, that the ills that America has reaped upon itself and to other people around the world is catching the attention of God himself.
Dean Robinson. Dean, how accurate do you think this young man's assessment was?
Well, I think parts of it were resonated with me, and parts of it, I guess, perhaps may not have. I know with Reverend Wright, he is very controversial. Politics, however, is again something of a split mind. Now, to discuss matters that are social in nature, I mean, that's fair game, but to become political, to pick one side or the other, because I believe in some of Reverend Wright's talk, he said something about disparaging Republicans. I can't remember what the specific comment was, but why waste time disparaging the Republicans, because They're just as worthy of being disparaged as the Democrats. There's no difference there. But I do think that Reverend Wright did have a point when he talked about the origin of AIDS. Now, I don't know the origin of AIDS, but I do know that in America, during the 30s, and I think all the way up until like the 70s, that the Tuskegee experiments did infect black men with syphilis and all sorts of diseases. And this was done in America in the 20th century, in a free country where our own government gave people disease and they knew what they were doing. So for Reverend Wright to theorize that AIDS may have been created in a lab, possibly under the auspices of the United States, I can't say if that's true, but someone could probably give me compelling proof that would make me believe it.
But in terms of God's wrath
Yeah.
coming down on America because of the accumulated unrighteousness that the
God's
country
wrath,
has done,
you say.
yes.
Now we are suffering. We are suffering because of the choices that man has made. Man has free will. God has given us free will. God allows us to choose love or not. And so our people suffer because they choose fear or something other than love. Now, I live under these laws that everyone lives under, but I have no fear of my government. And I will oppose my government when it is wrong, as it is now. But I will have no fear. They can't kill me. I cannot die.
Well, now, with the, I understand that with the Patriot Act, that there's a loophole there where if you are perceived as being a threat, that they can come and take you away.
And it's not a loophole. If the FBI decides they want to investigate me as a terrorist, then they can just decide that I am such a person, start their investigation, come pick me up, handcuff me, interrogate me in a gulag, torture me. That is what the Patriot Act allows right now, yes. We can have our phones tapped. They could be searching your home right now and leave without you even knowing it. That's what the Patriot Act allows. And that's what Tom Smith, the leader of our city council, enjoys. He likes that. He likes that sort of thing. Tom Smith likes the fact that our federal government can spy on us and take us to gulags and torture us. He likes it. Karen Goldner believes that such a thing is fine also, and that the city should not do anything to oppose such a notion. Our city council is corrupt.
But that does infringe on the rights of the individual.
What's that?
The Patriot Act.
Yes, it does. It's a savage attack on civil rights. It's abhorrent. And Barack Obama is not going to do anything about it. He's going to keep it. And he will keep the additional powers that George Bush has amassed.
Well, he said he's going to keep it. He's not going to repeal.
Have you heard anything about him repealing it?
Well, I can't still have everything here.
He has not said anything about repealing it. He said that he was going to filibuster against the FISA Act being renewed earlier this year. He promised that he would filibuster it, but he voted for it instead. Barack Obama is a liar, and people who have voted for him have been duped. There will be no change for good. We will see continued tyranny by our government. This man is calling for another billion-dollar package for public works so we can build roads and other public buildings that we're paying for, our tax dollars paying our salaries. It's completely absurd. Barack Obama is a socialist of the highest order. He'll be taking over a fascist regime. Do you understand this? We live under fascism right now. Our corporations are being taken over by the government. They are melding before our eyes. Our government has become bold in what they're doing. It is open tyranny.
But you don't see that as an opportunity where they're jump-starting capitalism?
Capitalism? You mean what they call a free market, which doesn't exist? Now, we're supposed to be engaging in free trade with China. How can we have free and fair trade with a country that has a completely controlled economy by the government? They have no free market system.
I can't see it.
How could we participate in a free market with a country that doesn't have a free market? It's patently ridiculous. Yet this is what Bill Clinton forced down our throats, and we're living under it. That's why there's a Walmart everywhere. My theory with the Walmart stores, when I see these stores, and they actually says Walmart on the store, I think they should take those letters down. They should replace all the words with Chinese words and symbols. Because that's what it is. It's a Chinese company.
Walmart is?
Basically.
I know they have a lot of Chinese.
We enslave, basically just, the Chinese are enslaved. They're working hours and earning the wages of a slave. And we buy these goods. It's as if we brought them over to work on the railroad, only this time they can just build the railroad from home. Walmart should have Chinese letters on the outside of all its buildings. They should not have English characters on any of their buildings. But the Americans' thirst for cheap goods has cost us jobs. We are a post-industrial society. We are a nation based on debt and credit.